Good morning, MacLaren. My name is Ms. Hooser, and today is Friday, September 18th of 2020. This morning, I want to talk to you about one of my favorite animals, and no, surprisingly, it's not birds this time. Today, I want to talk to you about spiders. I've always been very fond of spiders. When I'm hiking and I see them, I get really excited, and so I take lots of pictures. So here are a few of the pictures that I've taken out on hikes. This is just a small fraction of them. Maybe someday I will be able to show you more, but I only had time and I picked a few. And yes, that last picture is of a black widow that was at my house. I was pretty excited to see that lovely lady hanging out near my house. So a lot of people are terrified of spiders. That's understandable. They've got 8 legs. We know that spiders can bite. Spiders, by definition, are venomous. They kill their prey, and they suck out their insides, for lack of a better word. So it's understandable that there is some fear. Actually, about 60% of humans fear spiders, but only 10% have a true phobia of spiders, to where they really can't even think about spiders without getting anxiety and stress and panic. However, in some cultures, spiders are actually seen in a positive light. So the Hopi Native Americans have many tales about spiders, and a woman who's known as the Spider Woman, and she was seen as a protector and guardian of the tribe. Also, spiders living in your house is said to be good luck. So I hope I have lots of spiders and good luck in my house. And there is this rumor that you eat 8 spiders a year in your sleep. That's not true. And that goes back to spider behavior. Spiders are solitary by nature. They live alone. They don't even live in groups of spiders. So it would be a pretty rare occurrence if a spider actually made it into your mouth while you were sleeping, because they don't want to be near you. And that's fine. They can have their own space. So this next picture I'm going to show you is a picture of a spider in just the basic anatomy, right? So just jog our memory. Spiders are not insects. They have 8 legs. They actually only have 2 main body parts compared to the insects has 3. So spiders have a cephalothorax, where their head is, and then they have the abdomen and 8 legs. And then you see at the front of the spider, they have 2 what almost look like legs. They're called pedipalps, and those are sensory organs. So like the insects' antennae, pedipalps help them sense their surroundings. And then if you look at the very front of the spider, there's the chelicerae, which has the fangs. So that is the part of the spider that houses the fangs that injects the venom into their prey. But I'm here this morning wanting to talk to you about a specific spider that I just got to encounter for the first time. And they are called Oklahoma brown tarantulas. They're also known as Texas brown tarantulas. So depending on where you live, they might be called something different. In science, our scientific name for the Oklahoma brown tarantulas is a Phenopelma hensey. I'm going to stick with Oklahoma brown tarantulas. I became interested in these tarantulas shortly after I moved to Colorado. I've been here for about 2 years, and I heard about this great tarantula migration in the southeast corner of Colorado, and I just knew at that point this is something I had to go and see. Oklahoma brown tarantulas live in the central plains of North America. So if you see in this picture, they actually have quite a big area or distribution in which we can find them. But they are primarily in grasslands. Hence why I have this picture of grasslands behind me. And if you'll see right there, that's actually an Oklahoma brown tarantula on this poster. And this is the type of habitat you would find them in. They are important for their ecosystem. They serve as food for larger predators such as birds of prey might eat them. And also they eat smaller insects. They eat a lot of beetles that roam around the grasslands. So they are an important part of that food web that we all learned about in life science. Generally, females are much larger than males. Also, female Oklahoma brown tarantulas live up to and sometimes beyond 30 years old, whereas the male counterparts generally only live 8 to 10 years. The reason they do not live as long is that when males reach sexual maturity, they go through what is known as a final molt. So remember, insects and also arachnids have exoskeletons. So the only way they can grow to be bigger is that they actually have to shed their outer exoskeleton to get bigger. So males will continue to grow through their juvenile stage, and then finally they reach this final molt where they're now ready to go mate and produce offspring. At this point, the males are much more slender than females and also have much longer legs. And those legs are going to be important for their migrating purposes. This final molt is to prepare them for their potentially long journey to find a female and mate with. So when we're using the word migration for spiders, we tend to maybe associate that with other animals that we know to migrate. For example, birds migrate, and they do this seasonally, and it has a lot to do with food source. What is available to eat? So a lot of birds migrate to do so, or they migrate for their reproduction purposes, but then they come back to another area. So for our Oklahoma brown tarantulas, it's less of a migration and more of a journey. So the males have finally prepared, they've gotten to this point in their life, and now it's time to find a female and produce offspring. So after migration, after they breed, the males generally don't live much longer because they've already gone through their final molt. So at this point, their body, their DNA is saying, we're done. We're not going to continue to grow. And potentially this is not a problem, and we'll talk more about that. So scientists have found that these Oklahoma brown tarantulas are not really directed in their motion. They are moving randomly around their habitat, around the grasslands, looking for a female. Some studies have shown they may walk up to a mile. For us, that doesn't sound very far, but if you're a tarantula and you're also spending time searching for a mate along the way, that's a pretty far distance for Oklahoma brown tarantulas. They're most likely trying to sense pheromones, so chemicals that the females release. They might also be looking for silk webbing from the female's burrow. The females live underground, so the only sense that they get there's a female nearby is by those chemicals and by the webbing. Most males won't even find a mate in this time before it's too late. But if he does find a burrow where a female's living, he's going to go over to the burrow where the opening is and start tapping his pedipalp. So those sensory organs of pedipalp, he's going to start tapping on the ground to see if his intentions are well received by the female. If not, the female may actually try to eat the male. So the male has to be very cautious as it's approaching these burrows. Although the reality is, even after mating, the males may become the female's meal. And in a lot of spider species, they're okay with that because they have successfully passed on their genes to the next generation. And especially as an Oklahoma brown tarantula, if you're an adult male, you've reached your final molt. There's not much beyond that. So if you can pass on your genes, that's a pretty good day for Oklahoma brown tarantula. So it's not too late to see them this year. They are still out and about until about early October. I got to see them last weekend, and so have some videos and pictures I want to show you. If you do decide to go venture and see them, just remember a couple things. You're not going to see hundreds of spiders. They are solitary organisms. They don't like living in groups. They're pretty wary of even humans. When I saw them and they noticed me, they would stop moving. They don't like being around other organisms. So don't be expecting to see hundreds. I only saw 8 while I was out there. Also, you'll need to make sure you're planning on going on a good day. A good day means it's warm outside, right? These are ectotherms. They like to get heat from the environment, and they don't like windy days. So no windy days. The temperature needs to be warm, and the best time to see them is in the evening. So right before the sun sets and into the early morning hours. I saw one as early as 6 p.m. in the evening. And then I continued to see them until about 10 to 11 a.m. So an easy way to spot them is on dirt roads. The dirt road gives you a nice contrast between the black, dark tarantula and the surroundings. So it's easy to spot them on roads. But that means you need to be careful to not run them over, and also careful to not run over any other organisms you see on the roads. Snakes and toads really like roads because they're warm. They keep them warm in the night. So you should be careful to not disturb any other organisms. But if you do go, tell them hello from me. I hope you enjoyed learning more about Oklahoma brown tarantulas. And I think there's more we could find out. So if you have questions about them, please seek me out, and I would love to talk more to you or about any spiders. Thanks, MacLaren, and have a great weekend.